Hello to everyone out there on YouTube and Instagram. It's Makeda, Voletta, also known as TheBodyScientist. And in case you are unfamiliar with me, I am an exercise physiologist, sports scientist, and nutritionist. But I also have a background in biotechnology, and I have a holistic approach to everything when it comes to health in the body. And prevention, I believe, is our best medicine. Okay, so that is where my area of study and practice and philosophy is. Hey, Ellen. I also know that a lot of you are probably tired of hearing about the coronavirus situation. However, it is, and it's affecting all of our lives. And there's nothing that we can do about that. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, which sucks because for those of you who follow me, you know I travel a lot. So there's so many things in my life that's been disrupted. But, and on the one hand, I felt like people are blowing things out of proportion, but at the same time, that's true and it's not true, okay? Because one thing about the coronavirus is that it is highly infectious. It is more infectious than the flu, more infectious than the cold, more infectious than SARS and MERS. It is one that travels very quickly. And, it is not, there's things that's known about it, but at the same time, there's a lot they don't know about it. So me and my, scientific researching self has been researching and staying on top of as much of the science and things that is known. And so I'm just going to update you on a few things, number one, and also give recommendations for those of you who have older people in your families, because with older people and people with underlying respiratory issues, they do need to be careful, because for people who are healthy and younger, it may not be something that we have to worry about so much, but for older people and those who are in weakened states, it can. And I'm sure, none of us want to lose loved ones when we don't have to, okay? So in that sense, it is a bit serious, okay? So one thing that a lot of people don't really understand, which also adds to the frenzy on many levels, is how viruses, how they act, okay? I remember sitting in chemistry classes in college, like maybe this was organic chemistry, okay? You have organic chemistry, you have biochemistry. And I remember, because I'm not into astrological stuff so much. I don't know about outer space and all the planets, right? But I remember thinking in this chemistry class, we keep looking in the cell, down to electrons and neutrons and protons. That's the smallest form of matter that we can see, okay? I'm sure it gets smaller than that. But even when you get on the level of protons and neutrons, that is super microscopically tiny, okay? We have so many cells, okay? Our body has about 70 trillion cells just for our body cells. Then the bacteria that is in our body and on our skin is 4 times that amount. So we have more bacterial cells on our body and in our body than we do actual body cells, okay? And bacteria all have their own DNA. So a lot of how we are in this world is not just because of the DNA we got from our parents. It's also because of our microbiomes and the DNA and the bacteria that inhabit our body. We do inhabit microbiome. We do get microbiomes from our mother. That's our first source. So we inherit our mother's microbiome, especially when we're born vaginally. We get inoculated with our mother's microbiome. Then if you're breastfed, you get inoculated with your mother's microbiome. Babies who are not born vaginally or not breastfed already are coming into the world with a depleted microbiome, okay? And then all of our experiences, what we come in contact with, if we live with a pet, people share microbiomes with their pets. So people who have dogs and cats, they have some of the bacteria that the dogs and the cats have, okay? If somebody in a house takes antibiotics, everybody in the house will have antibiotic resistant bacteria in their system, okay? So who we come in contact with also affects our microbiomes. Now, people being obese, or some people just can't lose weight no matter what they do. Some people, won't gain weight no matter what they do, or blah, blah, blah. People will have certain issues. A lot of that has to do with your microbiome. There have been so many studies where they've taken rats or mice or whatever who had no weight issue, and they took obese mice, took their feces, injected it into transplanted it into the mice who had regular metabolism, and then all of a sudden they just started gaining weight really quickly, and they would gain the same amount of weight as the mice that they had the feces from. Our microbiomes control a lot, okay? And this is critical. We need to understand not just our bodies, right, but our immune systems are highly complex. Like, we have this whole, like, a lot of people like to watch, like Star Trek and Star Wars. I don't even watch that stuff, but our bodies are that. We have all kinds of killer cells and immune cells and cells that detect this and that, okay? And viruses are extremely tricky, okay? Now, I'm going to get into some of the science. Our cells are tiny, okay? Bacterial cells are tiny, but viral cells are even smaller. And what they do, they find ways to get into a cell, okay? Once they get into the cell, they hijack that cell. Every cell has its own DNA or RNA that it's reading, that code, okay? When a virus hijacks a cell, it injects its own RNA or DNA, and now that cell starts creating proteins for the virus, okay? It's no longer doing its function and its job as the cell anymore. It's now doing the job that the virus wants it to do, okay? Like a damn zombie. This is how viruses can also cause cancer, because cancer is a genetic disease. People think that genetic disease means that they got it from their family. That's not what it means, okay? Yes, you can have a genetic disease that came from family, but you can have a genetic disease that came from a lot of different things. Mutagens, carcinogens. Mutagens and carcinogens are things that mutate your DNA, okay? Mutagens are things that mutate your DNA. It could mutate it to be cancer-causing or not. Carcinogens mutate your DNA to be cancer-causing. Then you have, so what a genetic disease means is that the disease is happening because of a DNA sequence. So with cancer, the cells keep dividing because the DNA, there's no DNA stop code to make it stop. So this keeps repeating. That's where tumors come from, okay? Now, that can happen because something caused the DNA to mutate to do that, okay? That doesn't necessarily mean that it came from family. Or you inherit certain DNA from your family and it interacts with the environment. So how our DNA interacts with the environment also affects the expression of our DNA, okay? DNA can be turned on and off. It's very complicated, okay? So this is the reason why when people say, oh, diabetes runs in my family, heart disease runs in my family, this runs in my family. A lot of times it's the bad habits that run in the family, and it's how those bad habits interact with the DNA that causes a certain issue. And it also has to do with bacterial strains, okay, that run in the family. Okay, so now we play a huge role in our microbiome. Like me, as somebody who travels a lot, the bacteria is different in different places. That's why some people can live in a place and drink the water and be fine, but you go there and drink the water, you get sick. It has to do with the bacteria. I remember when I went to Haiti 10 years ago, like 2 months before I went, I was doing high doses of probiotics, because a lot of people I know that will go to Haiti, even Haitian American friends of mine, would come back and they would have a stomach bug or they would feel sick. And so I definitely was taking a lot of probiotics. When I came back from Haiti, I was sick, but I wasn't as sick as everybody else that I was with, who was like really sick, So, probiotics are our first line of defense against infectious organisms. And so, and we have so many, so we need to understand that we have a microbiome. It is so critical for people to understand that, okay? So critical. And on this whole coronavirus thing, I haven't heard one scientist or one doctor tell anybody to use hand sanitizer. I haven't heard anybody say that. It's just the general public that's like, oh, hand sanitizer, hand sanitizer. I've watched doctors and scientists speak. None of them have said that. They just said washing hands with soap. Nobody said to use antibacterial soap or hand sanitizer. But at the same time, a lot of them publicly won't speak up against the hand sanitizer and antibacterial soap. Some people, some doctors and scientists have, and there's some doctors and scientists I follow on YouTube who have, and I will definitely post those videos below on my YouTube video. But publicly on TV, I haven't heard any doctors or scientists speak out against the antibacterial soap and hand sanitizers. And the reason why is because they advertise on those networks. But I haven't heard them recommend it, not one, okay? So I've already done videos. I already did 2 videos on this topic. And so this is adding on to it. I'm not going to go back and totally explain everything because there's some things that I explained in the previous 2 videos you definitely should watch. This video, I want to really focus on what you can do to protect your family, especially elders, okay? I know my mother is 70 and my dad is 77. And there are lots of elders that we care about who aren't even really sickly, but it can be very serious for them. And I'm sure a lot of us don't want to lose loved ones unnecessarily, right? So there's certain things that need to be understood, okay? Okay, so now the thing about viruses injecting its DNA, its RNA. The issue with that is that the coronavirus is an RNA, the coronavirus is an RNA virus, right? So it injects its RNA. Now, when it comes in contact with a person, it uses that person's RNA to replicate. So basically, the coronavirus is not going to be the same. Like the genetic sequence is not going to be the same, every version of it. Okay, so this is where this becomes an issue. The way that they're testing, okay, there's issues with the testing. So the way that, see, this is the thing that people don't understand either. When you test for things, whether it's for drugs, for viruses, for bacteria, whatever, when you test for anything, there's levels of accuracy of tests, number 1. And number 2, you have to ask yourself, what are they testing for and what does that mean? Okay, this is important when you're getting your cholesterol tested, when you're getting your vitamin D levels tested, your iron. Like, do you even understand what that means? Because they could tell you this is good, this is bad. But a lot of what they're telling you is good and bad is false, okay? And so if you don't understand what's being measured and what that means, and none of it means anything, and you might think you're healthy and you're not, okay? So the thing is that the test that they're using to detect that people have coronavirus, they're using these PCR polymerase something kind of, it's some scientific thing test, right? Now this test for it can't. And there's several statements that said the test cannot actually test for the presence of the virus. It's testing for, it can test for DNA sequences, right? But it can test for DNA. It's just kind of complicated and confusing. And I will post some stuff below on my YouTube page if you really want to get into the specifics of the science and what has been said. I'm summing it up for you, okay? And it's complicated and scientific. But what they're measuring, the test cannot actually tell if the virus is present. It only measures for certain genetic sequences, which may or may not be present in somebody who actually does have the coronavirus, okay? So the way that they're testing for it is is highly flawed. So there's a lot of people who could have been inoculated with this virus, but then they get a negative. They get a false negative. Okay. And there are a lot of people who are spreading the virus and don't know they have it. Okay. So it is, so the whole thing of shutting down all these major events. And for me, I planned on leaving the country twice next month. One trip that I had to take was really important. It wasn't even like, one trip was leisure. I was planning on going to Spain and Italy next month, had my ticket booked and everything. Of course, that's not happening. But I had another trip that is something I actually needed to do that was really important. But also, this month I was supposed to be going to California. Looks like that's not happening because people, don't want to get stuck places. And there's a lot of things, right, being canceled, and it's affecting a lot of people. Luckily, my neighborhood in Chicago, when I went to the supermarket last night, and I didn't go to stock up on stuff because that's the other issue. Because I eat fresh food, I eat real food, okay? When you go to the store and you're stocking up on a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of the things that people are stocking up on, a lot of it is not good quality food. And then that eating food that's not good quality food actually weakens your immune system, But it's funny because I went to Whole Foods by my house. There was no garlic. Smart people. There was no garlic. Garlic is something I use all the time. I cook with garlic all the time. There's a lot you can do with garlic. Even like steams, which, I do vaginal steams a lot. And I'll even put garlic in my vaginal steams, but people can do steams for the face too, okay? For the sinuses, for the respiratory tract. So you can do a garlic facial steam, okay? That actually can be good. And I cannot drink garlic tea, but I definitely have a Jamaican friend that would make ginger and garlic tea. And if you can stomach that and not repulse the people around you, that's also really good. I drink a lot of ginger, but I can't drink garlic tea. But yeah. What was I gonna say? Okay, so a lot of things being closed and shut down. At first I thought, oh, it's such an overreaction because a lot of people are gonna get inoculated with this virus. People can't stop something from spreading. But then the Spanish grocery stores out of ginger. They had ginger. It's so funny. They had ginger in the Whole Foods by me, but not garlic. But Spanish people know what's up though. What was I gonna say? My brain is in so many places. So bone broth, right? So one thing is, like making stews could be good that are broth heavy, okay? You want to take bone broth is really important for your immune system, really, really important for the health for your immune system, your skin, which is a part of your immune system, and your gut, which is a part of your immune system. And broth is critical for both of those things. So that's why in every culture, people will get sick, they would give them chicken broth. And I feel like everybody in the world did that. I don't care if you're Asian, European, African, American, Caribbean, chicken broth, bone broth. Now, one of the issues, okay, with this virus, like a lot of people are debating whether it's man-made or it came out of this wet market. Listen, doesn't matter, okay? Because either way, both of those are a threat. Like at any point, viruses and bacteria can escape from laboratories. That's real and that can happen. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. And there's a lot of nasty wet markets, not just in China, okay? But also in Thailand and Burma and like all these other parts of Asia. I've heard too that there's a lot of them in Africa as well. And so they're really disgusting. And the kind of things that they sell in them. I actually saw, like, I don't know if it's CBS or NBC, somebody did a special report on it. I'll put it below on my YouTube. And any of them can cause an outbreak of some nasty infectious diseases that came from animals, okay? The infectious diseases that come from animals are more vicious on humans. Now, the other thing, when I said that we have about 7 trillion body cells, and we have 4 times that amount of bacterial cells on our skin and in our body, we also have about 4 times that amount of viruses. So we coexist in this world with bacteria and viruses. That's the reason why you need to understand that you have a microbiome. And whether or not, we can always become exposed to infectious disease, but whether or not you get sick and it takes hold of your body depends on a number of factors, okay? Depends on a number of factors. So you have to always be thinking about keeping your immune system up, keeping your guard up, keeping everything strong, because you never know when something may hit. You don't. It's just like people drive, they have insurance when they drive in case something happens, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been in a car accident in my life. I'm a good driver, but I know still if I have a car, I have to get insurance because you never know what could happen. So, and I take driving very seriously. I don't, I don't take it for granted. I'm not over here doing the most and driving drunk and doing all this other stuff to increase my chances of getting into a car accident. So there's certain things that we can do to keep our defenses up, to keep everything strong. Okay, we play a role in that. And that's one of the issues I have with the officials who are telling people wash their hands. Okay, yes, but they're not telling people anything else that they can do. Now, people who are poor can have a hard time getting access to certain herbs or, bone broth. They don't have a kitchen to cook in, So that's an issue. And that's why the most vulnerable, okay? And when I say the most vulnerable, I mean people who are malnourished, because when you're malnourished, there is no immune system, okay? There is no immune system. And the older that people get, the more difficult. There's a lot of nutrients that becomes depleted and hard for you to digest or process or absorb. Okay, so this is why, even with my parents, even before this, I've always been on their health and what they cook with. My dad was always cooking with vegetable oil. So I had to take it all out the house and I put ghee there. I put beef tallow there. I'm like, do not use this vegetable oil anymore. That is so horrible. And a lot of people use that in the world. They're cooking with soybean oil and canola oil and corn oil and vegetable oil. No. Okay. So we talked about the issues with the markets, how viruses work. Oh, the other thing about how viruses work, they can go undercover. That's what they do. Viruses will get into your cell, infect your cell with its DNA, RNA, then it will cover itself, okay, with some stuff from your cell, exit your cell to go do other stuff to try to be undetected by your immune system. Now, think about this, okay? Think about this, like the strong will survive, right? So when you're fighting an enemy, you know that when your defenses are down, they're going to hit. So when you are seriously stressed out, when people are really, really, yes, when people are really stressed out, right, their immune systems do drop, okay? Your immune system is not able to function as well when you are stressed out. That's a fact. When you are severely sleep deprived, and it's funny because I've been like sleeping way more than normal, but when you're severely sleep deprived, your immune system can drop. Okay, that's the thing about college students. I believe I always said that college is not good for your health because college students are severely stressed, they're severely sleep deprived, they eat horrible crap, and they live in close quarters. So a college campus is a perfect place for any kind of infection to just run rampant. And we have something like coronavirus, which is super infectious. Yeah, that can happen. And a lot of young people now are so unhealthy and so depleted. I don't care what college campus I go to, okay? I don't care if it's a black college, a white college, whatever. Underdeveloped, Everybody looks underdeveloped. They look like they're in junior high. They don't look like grown people, People's skin looks horrible. Like, it's just not good, right? So you're severely depleted in certain nutrients because because nutrients and hormones and fats, they send signals to your body. So we have so many different things in our body that detect things, that detect foreign objects, that kill foreign objects, that alert certain things and tell this cell to do this. It's a very complex system. And herbs are good, okay? Herbs before herbs, you have nutrition, okay? That's the basis of it. If you have bad nutrition and you're taking herbs, no, you need good nutrition. The herbs are in addition to supplement and assist. They're not the basis, okay? They're not the basis. So, so because viruses can do that, there are people that can have viruses in their system for years, okay? And it doesn't activate. And then one day, when they're not taking care of themselves, they're eating a bunch of crap, eating a bunch of sugar, you know, sitting in the house, not exercising, stressed out about whatever, and their nutritional stores are depleted, their vitamin D is depleted, their vitamin C is depleted. Next thing you know, the virus strikes. Bam. Okay? That's how viruses are. So even with this situation, there's a time when they tell people, oh, it's okay now, it can always resurface. Bam. Okay? So that's why you have to always be taking care of yourself and be thinking about your immunity. That's why I've always taken it very seriously. Okay? I don't play. All right? So the thing is about, the other thing is that if this becomes declared, now this is something a lot of people don't know about the law. In 2009, with, I don't know if it was the bird flu or the swine flu or whatever, there was this law put into place that if something in America gets considered a public, a public health crisis, or it's some status, a public health emergency, some status that if something gets declared that, then we could have forced vaccinations, forced quarantines, forced everything, where we have no say and no ability to deny it. So we don't want that to happen, okay? And again, I'll put a video below by Dr. Bergman, who I got this information from. I'll put it below my YouTube video. So I'm just going to let you know that as well, okay? So, and then there are a lot of people who are rushing like for vaccines. And the thing is that vaccines are not foolproof. People, you know, I'm not a big fan of vaccines. This is the reason why, like, you know, I actually was planning on going to Senegal. The end of next month, you know, I had planned, I was like, I booked a flight to Barcelona. I was like, well, let me go check out Italy. And then I was going to fly to Senegal, because you can fly to Senegal from Spain or Italy really, really cheap. That's all not happening now. But what was I about to say about Senegal? Damn it. I forgot my train of thought. I forgot what I was saying. So anyhow, I really wanted to remember what I was saying, but I forgot. Okay, maybe it'll come back to me. So, okay, so the elderly. Okay, so let me tell you. And this, I've already been talking for 28 minutes. I have like pages of notes for the videos I'm going to do on my Patreon page that I'm posting. Very in-depth lectures about vitamin D and about how to know how much vitamin D you need, and how, you know, understanding measurements, and, you know, and I'm going to be doing videos on that with all the different vitamins, you know, and I have a lot of videos on my YouTube page already, but I'm going to be going more in depth on my Patreon page. But I will tell you that over the past couple of days, I've been listening and reading, okay, listening to scientific talks of studies, but also reading a lot of studies on vitamin D, okay, and the role it plays in our immune system. A lot of people talk about vitamin C, and vitamin C is important. Actually, in China right now, they're doing a lot of intravenous vitamin C on coronavirus patients, because vitamin C is very, very effective at killing viruses. Okay. And yes, vitamin C is in certain fruits and stuff, like especially fermented vegetables and fruit. But it's also very high in the pancreas organ. Is it the pancreas or the adrenals? It might be the adrenals. It's one of them. Organ meats. Every culture ate organ meats, okay? Every culture did. But with vitamin D, it's crazy, because A lot of you have seen me talking about vitamin D a lot lately. I was just in Colombia a couple of weeks ago. Just a couple of weeks ago, we all had freedom. I just want to cry because I'm like, I'm so used to having freedom. Okay. Anyhow, just a couple of weeks ago. Oh, okay. My brain is in so many places. Okay. Hold up. There's so many things I want to say. I'm sorry. Like, it's just so many things. Let me go back to something else. And I'm sorry that I'm jumping everywhere. It's just so many things coming through my brain. Another thing I wanted to say about this coronavirus situation, okay, and the issue with staying in the house is that, and I forgot that I didn't say this in my other videos, I don't think. But they were saying that it radiates from feces as well, right? So if somebody's in a building, it can spread through a building through plumage, okay? Through sewage or whatever, the plumbing system. It can also spread through air vents, for air that's circulated places, hotels, buildings, okay? Also, they say that it dies at 80 degrees, which would be a good reason to drink a lot of hot tea, hot green tea, hot ginger tea, which I already drink a lot of hot tea anyway, even in the summertime. But they say that it dies at 80 degrees, which would make some people think, oh, in the summertime, the infections will be less. But right now, you are seeing it in the Caribbean, so we're not really sure about that, right? Hopefully, it will lessen in the summer, but then it may spike again in the fall, okay? And spitting, I think, and I haven't heard anybody say anything about this, but I think it should be illegal for people to spit on the damn sidewalk right now. I always thought that spitting on the sidewalk was disgusting, okay? And me being from New York, like, when I walk, all I do is stare at the ground because I don't want to step in anybody's nasty spit bubbles. I think it's so disgusting. And my own twin brother always is spitting all the time. Remember when we used to be going to school in high school, he was spitting. I'm like, that is so nasty. What is wrong with you? I don't understand why dudes need to spit. It's like, first of all, what's going on that makes you have to spit? Number two, spit in a napkin. I think that is nasty. But when it comes to, when it comes to airborne illnesses, okay, you can get that from walking past somebody's spit. Tuberculosis is like that. And I used to always tell people that. If somebody with tuberculosis spits in the ground and then you walk by it, you can definitely breathe that in, okay? So people should be getting fined for spitting on the goddamn ground right now. That shit is nasty as fuck. And if you do spit on the ground, stop it. If you spit on the ground, stop it right now because you are contributing to spreading some shit unnecessarily. So stop. Okay. Now, the kids. The cute little kids, all right? We need to talk about why these kids are dangerous. And I don't envy any parents right now because this kid situation is tough. And we're going to talk about the kids, okay? The good side of things with the kids is that so far, the kids who have had the infection, it hasn't been that bad in them, right? So it's been pretty mild, the symptoms. That's great. The bad thing about the kids is that kids are little petri dishes. Somebody wrote this on a YouTube video and it made me so sick. I'm like, it's so disgusting. Ugh. But kids are little petri dishes, okay? They are. Kids harbor a whole bunch of shit, okay? So a lot of people who work around kids stay sick, which is if you work with kids or you're a parent with a bunch of kids in the house, you need to definitely always be working on your immune system because I have seen kids make a whole family ill, okay? So if your kid is making the whole family ill, even before this, that tells you that you need to work on your immune system, all of y'all, okay? Now, especially the adults, right? Because I think kids are supposed to get inoculated with a lot of stuff because that builds your immune system. Getting inoculated, but not getting sick and dying, okay? And sometimes getting sick, like getting a fever and coughing, that's your body doing what it's doing. That's your immune system killing it. expelling it, okay? So that's not always a bad thing because you get those symptoms, okay? That's different than being deadly, right? But this is so sad. This is sad. This is sad because kids can take this to their grandparents. Now, we don't want to see a situation where a bunch of grandparents are dying because they came in contact with their grandkids. Wouldn't that be tragic and horrible and sad? But people have to stay away from, older people have to stay away from these kids. And this is the thing about canceling schools, right? At first I thought, and this is complicated. I was listening to the governor of New York, Cuomo. His talk I felt like was very good. And New York State did not decide to close all the schools. They left it up to regions, right? And from my understanding, New York City did not close the public schools. And he said, when he wasn't in school, he came in contact with more kids when he wasn't in school. Just because kids don't go to school doesn't mean they're not going to come in contact with other kids, number one. Number two, if you have a lot of kids staying home from school, then you have a lot of nurses and doctors and healthcare workers who can't come to work because they have to be home with their kids. But we need all the healthcare workers in the hospitals and, able to do what they're supposed to do, because they're calling doctors and nurses out of retirement, okay? They're calling old doctors and nurses out of retirement and trying to speed up other nursing students to be able to work to prepare for this. So one of the things with canceling a lot of events is because they didn't want it to spread really quickly, and then it overwhelms the medical system, which that matters. So when I thought about that, I'm like, okay, I could understand why so many things were canceled. Okay, this is so unfortunate because none of us have ever seen anything like this. And on the one hand, you want to think, oh, this is just crazy, and that's kind of what I thought at first, because I'm thinking, you can't stop the spread of the virus, and you can't. But you can slow it down by not having millions of people constantly meeting, because of the fact that this virus is so infectious. And that's one thing that makes it different from previous coronaviruses, is that this one is faster moving and a lot more infectious, okay? So because this is so much more detrimental on older people, if you have them around kids, there could be kids that's carrying this virus and they don't even really have any symptoms. And then they go hug grandma or grandpa, and now they have such a bad infection that takes their life, okay? So for the older people, for everybody, this advice that I'm giving applies to everybody, from kids to adults to the elderly, but especially for the elderly, especially for those with bad asthma and respiratory issues, okay? No stress, okay? Because stress definitely weakens your immune system. It definitely does. Adequate sleep, period, point blank. And a lot of people probably will be able to do that now that so many things are being shut down and we can't live our lives. In your house, you need to open the windows. Telling people to stay in the house with the windows closed is actually bad, because most of the air that is inside of people's houses is toxic anyway. There's a lot of people who use toxic cleaning products. There are people who are spraying perfume. People have air conditioners. Air conditioning changes the electrical charge of the air. You need circulation of air, okay? Toxins and things like that get magnified inside with the windows closed. You have a lot of people who work in office buildings. Definitely, not good air. And then you're in your house closed up, not good, okay? You do need to open the windows. Burning things like sage or other herbs. It could be eucalyptus maybe, or lavender. But the thing is, Santo Paulo, the thing is, smoke has antimicrobial properties, okay? So actually, burning certain herbs and things like sage in the air could help also with cleansing and detoxing the home. You do not want to use any kind of antibacterial anything, okay? I mean, natural stuff is fine. Stuff that has 60% alcohol, has tea tree oil in it. It might have hydrogen peroxide, garlic, and other antimicrobial and antiviral herbs. What's the right amount of sage to burn? Whatever amount of sage you would have burned before. And burn it as often as you would like. Open the windows, okay? And use natural things, because remember, we have a microbiome. You don't want to destroy that. If I can't tell you that enough, please check out my other 2 videos I did on this topic. Please, on every video, look at the videos I posted below, okay? Look at those videos, okay? It's so critical to understand this. Another thing, so the thing I was going to tell you that I've been researching a lot in the past 2 days is vitamin D and the role it plays in our immune system. And I was saying when I was in Colombia, that's what I was saying just a couple weeks ago, I was doing a lot of vitamin D research, which I've already done, but I was learning a whole lot more about vitamin D and the role it plays in our immune system. And no matter how much you try to get it from food, you still need sunlight. Sunlight plays an important role in your immune system. So no matter what happens this summer, and some people are already places where it's sunny, still try to go outside and get sun on your skin. If you have to go in the park, if you got a backyard, you only want to be around people, that's fine. But you need to go outside and get sun, okay? It plays an important role, and it's really, really important for your immune system. But vitamin D, studies have shown, like, most people in the world are vitamin D deficient, okay? Most people in the world are vitamin D deficient, and especially darker skinned people, okay? So there are studies that have shown that 92% of Black children are severely vitamin D deficient. 80% of Hispanic, and I put that in quotes because, Hispanic could be everything. Hispanic children, vitamin D deficient, okay? And the darker your skin is, the harder it is for you to make vitamin D from the sun. And in order to even get vitamin D from the sun, you have to be outside mostly naked, okay? You need your stomach, your chest, your arms, your legs, all of that needs to be exposed to the sun in between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when the sun is overhead and it's the most intense, okay? And a light-skinned person or a white person could do that for 10, 15, maybe 20, 30 minutes and get enough. But the darker your skin is, the more of it you need, okay? And so if you're working in a building and blah, 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 it's an issue. So vitamin D, where do we get vitamin D? I take fermented cod liver oil by Green Pastures, and I take a butter oil, fermented cod liver oil. Also, lard is very high. Pasture lard from pigs from the farm, not from the food industry, okay? Farm pigs that are outside getting sunlight, running around, eating their natural diet are one of the highest sources of vitamin D. Pig fat and lard, okay? A lot of people, listen, I know my shit. A lot of people are so brainwashed, they think pork is so bad. But listen, some of the longest living, healthiest people in the world eat pork. If you look at Mexico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, you look at the Polynesian Islands, Korea, Japan, all over, Europe and Italy and Spain and France. Everybody fucking eats pork except Muslim people, okay? And every time, even in my own family, every time they take the person who's the oldest person in the world, longest living person, broke a record, every time they ask those people what they ate, they always say that they ate bacon, okay? And not turkey bacon, pork bacon. When you look at epidemiology, like the longest living, healthiest people in the world were the Okinawa in Japan a few years ago. They cook with lard every single day, okay? So And for the people who are listening, if you have people in your family who ate pork and lived to be over 95, okay, please write that. Please tell me what your family ate, how old they lived to be, and where they were from in the world. Because I guarantee you, it's people in the Caribbean, people in the American South, people in South America, people in Europe, people in Asia, who all have family members who were cooking with lard and eating pork and lived a long time. I've always said that pork is a longevity food. I saw that shit when I went to Haiti 10 years ago. I grew up eating pork, but then I went through this time of believing it wasn't good. I went to Haiti in 2010, 2 months after the earthquake. I saw some of the most well put together people I've ever seen in my life. People who are well formed, okay? Haiti could be the poorest country in this hemisphere, but people had good bone structure. They were strong. The elderly women were strong. I didn't see a weak people, okay? Not mentally and not physically. And they ate lots of pork in Haiti. So I said, you know what? I started using my critical thinking skills. I'm like, this shit don't make no sense. And it doesn't. And since then, I've done tons of research. And I'm gonna do a video just talking about pork and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, lard, and check the facts. I'm gonna post tons of references below on my YouTube video. A lot of things, everything that we've been told is bad for us, it's the opposite. You know why? Because they want to make people weak. Now you have a virus like this put out into the environment, a lot of people are going to get sick because they already have a weakened immune system, eating all this fake health food, okay? So lard is a very good source, and pig fat from pigs from the farm, which is another thing of why we should be consuming sustainable agriculture, okay? This is another, there's so many things. I've already been talking for 46 minutes. There's so many things to say. I'm going to have to do sub-videos. But what's happening right now at the supermarket and the food is also an issue with why sustainable agriculture is so important. And when I was in graduate school, my professors used to always say this. Like, I'm from New York, right? But New York, the island of Manhattan. Harlem is on an island called Manhattan. Manhattan is an island, in case you didn't know. So to get run off Manhattan, you have to go across a bridge, cross a river. Whether you're going to Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Jersey, you got to cross a bridge to get off the island of Manhattan, right? And my professor used to say, like, what happens if there's an emergency and they close all the bridges to Manhattan? And there's no shipments of food coming into Manhattan. Where are people going to get food? We have to have local sources of food. Most people in the world are getting food from somewhere else. They're getting food from somewhere else. And this is why my professors was talking about Cuba, because they were like, Cuba was an example of a country who they were growing, because of them being cut off from the U.S., they weren't forced to have big monocrops, which is really bad for the environment, bad for our houses, bad. They weren't forced to use pesticides and herbicides and all that other stuff because they were cut off from the U.S. Everybody else in the Caribbean, South America, North America, Central America, like Costa Rica is a freaking dole plantation. You can't find pineapple in Costa Rica that's not GMO. So Cuba was like the one place that wasn't doing that. And they were growing things in between houses or on the sidewalk, wherever. And that's why Cuba's going to be okay, because Cuba already know how to function like this. We don't know how to function like this because we go to the supermarket that has all this shit that's shipped from across the country, another country. We don't have sustainable agriculture here. So one little major bomb can cause all of us to starve. Okay, so this is another thing to think about, and I'll do a whole other video on that. That's a whole other issue. Okay. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'm just saying that's some real shit. And you're starting to see that right now with, like, food shortages and things of that nature. Now, so the vitamin D, there's so many studies, and like I said, I'm going to be doing more in-depth videos on this on my Patreon page and other series of videos, but it plays, without me, I have pages of notes to explain, but I'm not going to get into all the details because I've been talking for 49 minutes already. But really, to make a long story short, vitamin D plays a critical role in the immune system's ability to stop infections, viral infections, and especially infections in the respiratory tract. Vitamin D does a series of things to increase their macrophages. Macrophages is like Pac-Man. They will engulf the virus, eat it, and disintegrate it. Okay, digest it, it's gone. Vitamin D seriously increases the power of your macrophages in the body, but especially when it comes to lungs, okay, and infections. And so anybody with any kind of underlying lung issue definitely needs to look at their vitamin D levels and be consuming a lot of vitamin D. Because there are so many studies that show that almost like everybody with severe lung issues has also a very depleted vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is a worldwide pandemic and problem. See, no one's talking about that. There's huge issues when it comes to nutritional deficiencies, depletion of nutritional values in food, certain things you can hardly even get from food, how much the food and the water is poisoned. And there's so many issues with that. And that really contributes to people's immune systems being weakened, but they're not telling you anything about that. They're just waiting until they have a vaccine to sell you the whole time, telling you that natural stuff doesn't work and there's nothing you can do and there's nothing that can kill this virus. When this coronavirus is a mutation, but there are other coronaviruses. This is not exactly the same, but there's a lot of things that do kill viruses. A lot of people believe that viruses can't be cured. That's not true. Viruses can be killed, okay? There are certain bacteria strains that kill certain viruses. And I talk about this in other videos of mine. And I'll talk about this in other videos of mine that I'll post below on probiotics, intestinal dysbiosis, strengthening your immunity. And I'll do more in-depth videos on it coming up. But yeah, so cod liver oil. I always take fermented cod liver oil. I cook good quality bacon. I save the bacon fat, use it, cook potatoes in it, cook lard with it. I put, also there's vitamin D in, I think it's chicken livers. But you also need vitamin A and vitamin D balanced together. So a lot of butter. Oh yeah, butter, grass-fed butter and ghee. Very good source of vitamin D and vitamin A in the perfect balance. Also raw milk and cream from grass-fed animals. And those of you who follow me know I'm always talking about eating raw milk and raw cream. They're very good sources of vitamin A and vitamin D. And I definitely would recommend taking cod liver oil. Not taking vitamin D by itself, because vitamin D needs vitamin A. Vitamin D needs its fats. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. So I don't recommend just buying vitamin D and taking it like that. And even when taking the cod liver oil, you still need sunlight on your skin, okay? Also, coconut oil. Okay, so the coronavirus is a lipid-contained virus. It's a lipid-contained virus, and I've been studying lipid-contained viruses for a long time. The herpes virus is a lipid-contained virus. The HIV virus is a lipid-contained virus. And there are things that have already been shown to kill lipid-contained viruses, okay? So there are other lipid-contained viruses that can be killed, so I believe that this one can be too. Okay? But again, you have to remember that you have to build up your immunity. You have to realize you have warriors and soldiers. But if you're using hand sanitizer and antibacterial soap, you're killing your warriors and your soldiers. Now they can't fight for you. When you use antibacterial soap and all the artificial hand sanitizer stuff, you know what it does? It kills your soldiers and it makes your enemies even stronger. Because the bad bacteria mutate and create super strong strains, and the good bacteria that's there to fight for you and protect you die. So you don't want to use that. Some patients are being treated for corona with HIV drugs. I think I did hear that. Yeah. Because there's certain similarities with all viruses, Drink lots of hot green tea. Hot green tea and echinacea, they both really work together very well to strengthen your immune system. So I recommend everybody ginger tea. You can make ginger green tea, okay? Hot. And drinking that, especially giving it to the elderly. Coconut oil also is high in certain medium chain triglycerides, which also have been shown to kill lipid-contained viruses. So how could somebody use that? Somebody can make a shake. I'm just giving an example. Let's say somebody had raw milk. They put some raw cream. They put an egg yolk. Oh yeah, I forgot. Pasture egg yolks. Egg yolks are also a very good source of vitamin D and vitamin A from pasture, from the farm, okay? Not from the commercial food industry. But a good vitamin D shake would be some raw milk, some raw cream, put an egg yolk, put some fruit. And then you could put some coconut oil. I don't tend to put coconut oils in my shakes, but I don't really like to cook with coconut oil. But that's just a way you can get coconut oil into your body, is by putting it in shake, drink it that way. You know, I guess maybe some people take a teaspoon of it. I couldn't do that. But that's just an example, right? So all these things, and you want to do as many of these things as possible. Another thing with the house, plants that are you have plants that are very antimicrobial for your air and very cleansing for the air. That's another thing. Opening the window, cleaning with natural products and essential oils, essential oil diffusers, okay? Smoke has antibacterial, antimicrobial properties. And yeah. And I don't think they really know yet if dogs and stuff can transmit because there was a dog that that tested positive for coronavirus. Okay, that would be a mess if you start running through dogs. So this video was way longer than I thought. So there's a lot of other things I want to talk about, but that will be in my Patreon videos and shorter upcoming YouTube videos. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Okay, so if you all learned something from this video, please like it. Please share it. Please look at the other videos I post below on this YouTube page and look at those too. Subscribe to my YouTube page. And you can find me on Instagram at _body_scientist and on YouTube at TheBodyScientist81. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones, especially the older ones. Be careful of the kitties, okay? The kitties and the older people, it's sad because, I mean, of course, kids want to see their grandparents and grandparents want to see their grandkids, but you got to be careful with the kids, okay? Like, I don't know, spray them down, keep them away, especially if you have older people who already have underlying health conditions, okay? I would say, just be careful with the kids and the elderly, especially the sickly elderly. Don't panic, but be proactive. Be proactive about taking care of yourself, making sure your immune system is up. Listen to the things that I said. Go back and listen to my other 2 videos. And look at the videos that I post below on my YouTube channel. I'm telling you, you will learn a lot. When it comes to your health, what you don't know can kill you. And it's better to be safe than sorry. Because even if this virus is not as horrible as we think, which would be great if it's not, there could always be another at any moment. So you want to be ready, okay? Be ready. People be so focused on making sure they got 5 guns in the house so they can be ready for war or whatever the fuck they think is going to happen. But remember, you have soldiers on and in your own body. Are they strong? Are they ready? Are they on point? Because if you let your shit slip, you slip. Your immunity slips. Viruses will wreak havoc, okay? So you have to keep your defenses up. You have to stay strong. Do the best that you can. Check on your loved ones. Pay attention to the elderly, okay? Have a good day, people. Thanks for listening. Bye.